Goat. I'm Aaron.
I'm Chris.
So today we are doing Opie's
Can I cut you off just really quickly?
Yeah.
I received some feedback from our recent episode.
Okay.
In one of and I think I need to clear the air on some of this. I made a very accurate comment that Adam Sandler is a B-list actor, and it's been receiving a lot of negative pushback from some of our adoring fans. And I found myself in a lot of text conversations justifying why I think he is a B-list actor. And I know that you didn't fully agree with me at the time, and I just want to settle it once and for all.
What did I say at the time?
You also just didn't agree that he was B-list.
Did I say he was A-list?
Yeah. And so what I wanted to just put forward is that you've got to establish what the scale is. We can all agree Rob Riggle's a D-list actor, right?
Yeah.
Pauly Shore, he's an F. Okay.
Is there an F list?
Yeah.
I just stop the list. Take me off the list. Yeah.
You and I are on the F list too.
Yeah.
I don't have a C. B is solidly Adam Sandler. Maybe C is like David Spade. And then A is I put like your Brad Pitts, your George Clooney's, your Margot Robbie. And the way that you can identify A's versus B's is you picture Brad Pitt and Adam Sandler standing in line at a club. Very, very exclusive club. They can only let one person in who gets chosen.
Brad Pitt.
Correct. Thank you. Welcome to A-List.
Fair enough. All right. I'm sorry I argued with you on this. Maybe I was just feeling sentimental about Uncut Gems, or I just watched Happy Gilmore recently. It's not like Adam Sandler at this point could really carry a major theatrical movie at this point.
Thank you very much.
I apologize. Who else gave you? Did you get a lot of criticism?
Jamie is really upset about it, and she's enlisted Carlos to also engage. Jamie listens when she's bored on long drives and misses me and listens to our podcast. So she's not an active listener. Okay. And then Carlos just downloads it to help our numbers, but he never actually listens to it.
Oh, it's I appreciate support.
And he talked about he does download it, and sometimes he gets mad because he listens to it and it listens to music in the shower, and then every so often the podcast will come on and he gets pissed.
Well, did I ever tell you about the time I had my own TV show in college?
No, I don't know this.
Somebody got drunk at 1:30 in the morning or whatever and called me. If you lived in the dorm, everybody had your number because you got a phone book of where everybody listened. I just got a call in the dorm room and they said, "Hey, we just wanted to tell you your show sucks." And I was just kind of like, I just was like, thanks, and I hung up the phone. I mean, they woke me up. I mean, it's just so, it sounds like Carlos does not like our show, but he's a good friend to you.
Yeah, correct. So
does he not like our show, or is he just not into the Andy Griffith Show?
We're about as far off on pop culture between Carlos and this show as we will ever get.
Okay, what's Carlos like? Is he like into David Bowie and?
He is very into reality TV. Big Real Housewives fan. He's big Mariah fan as well. And I came up with a good triggering thing to say to him, where I like to regularly ask him if he thinks that Meghan Trainor is a modern day version of Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I'm okay with our podcast interrupting Carlos's showers at these points and really irritating him with this information you've given me.
Good. Well, I will make sure that he at least hears this part of our next one.
Well, I'm moving on into something a little more, I wouldn't say wholesome, but just something a little more focused on the show. Today we're doing Opie's Fortune, and I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you really liked this episode.
I actually did really like it.
I think you do. Why? Yes, please do.
It's not just that it's Opie content, which I always do prefer the Opie episodes. It is the first episode the first episode in a while that I couldn't imagine how the ending would play out. And about 15 minutes in, so 10 minutes left in the show, I was like, I don't actually know what they're going to do here.
Yeah, it's a lovely little episode. Everybody can kind of relate to Opie, like finding $50, which I guess would be probably the equivalent of finding like $250, $300 today.
Well, so I looked this up. I did research. Okay. I came prepared today.
Thank you.
I did 1964. That it's just shy of 500. Okay. But then theoretically, the show is actually a little bit more 30s-y because of Andy Griffith's upbringing, and that would be about 1,200.
Wow. Okay, that's a good chunk of change. But you got to figure, and I haven't been fishing in a long, long time, but I got to figure a nice fishing rod will probably run you $100 today. So him having to spend 10 on it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right, you want to dive in?
Let's go ahead first.
Head first this time. All right. This episode is dedicated to Carlos, but the episode Opie's Fortune first aired on November 16th, 1964. And we open at the courthouse with Barney reading the paper and Andy asking for a section of it. These are the things you learn by reading Randy Turner's book. But what he's actually reading is the Mount Airy Times with the Mayberry Gazette masthead replacing the top of it.
Oh, really? Okay. I think it's just important to talk about the collapse of local news at this section. Recently in my town of Helena, the Independent Record, which was our over 100-year-old daily, has now moved this summer to 3 days a week, and it is delivered by the post office.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
So I've just been watching Fox News instead.
I mean, that's good. I think that's good. I think Fox News, that'll really help you keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in Helena, just like any cable news outlet. And I think that's the way to go.
Yep. I don't want any of that Sinclair broadcasting local stuff getting in my way. I just want to hear it from the top and then see the trickle down.
Does Politico have a playbook, a Montana playbook?
No, they don't even have one surrounding any of the states touching Montana.
Okay, all right. So, I wasn't sure. One of the things in my hometown, like with the kind of, I wouldn't say the paper it was either biweekly or weekly. It's never really been a daily paper. And so what you've seen are people people creating kind of almost a daily outlet instead of really going through the process of a printing press. They just do a PDF and they print it off. And
you know that the guy that just invented the PDF died yesterday?
I did not know that.
There you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah, so anyway, and I remember I'd see it in gas stations where you could just buy it for like $1 and it was just sitting there. And I don't know if you can get a PDF copy or not or how it actually works.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Barney is enjoying reading Mayberry After Midnight, which is the gossip section of the paper.
And that guy gets around.
It's funny. It's written by a 16-year-old kid. And I mean, I can't imagine. It is just funny reading this stuff. And I guess these local papers used to have that. But can you imagine such a thing? I mean, it's kind of like, the only thing I can remember closely resembling was roll call. And I don't even think it has it anymore. We used to have Heard on the Hill, where it would all be all this gossip you were hearing about staffers and, other things.
I think that's just gone on to like Instagram now, right? Like the overheards and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess page 6 was the ultimate gossip section of the paper.
Yeah.
But turns out that Lorraine and Howard Felfer are getting a divorce because Lorraine hits the sauce pretty hard. And Barney learned this because he took Phoebe Gilbert out. This episode has obviously great Opie content, but it also, I love this kind of Andy just ribbing Barney about.
I know he's going into it.
So when Andy learns this, his ears perk up. He asks if Thelma Lou knows, and she doesn't, but it was a long time ago. And Barney says he took her to the Blue View, which was actually the name of the first motel in Mount Airy. So,
really?
Yeah.
So, how'd you know that?
Randy Turner's book, the Mayberry Travel Guide. But the thing about it is like, that was also a point, though, where when you say motel, I think of now, I used to think, oh, motel. I mean, something, but back in that era, I mean, that's kind of what, did you ever see that movie, The Bad Times at the El Royale?
No.
Oh, it's a great movie. You should check it out. It's a lot of fun. But it's at a motel, but it's like a motor inn. But it's a motor inn with outdoor, the rooms kind of have outdoor entrances, and it looks like a motel. But in the center of it, I mean, it's got a restaurant and a bar and everything like that. So it does. So it wasn't like the motels that we think of nowadays when we're thinking about motels.
Got it. It isn't quite okay. There's more socializing to do there other than, hosting house parties in your room.
Well, it's not like you drive by a motel, you're like, people staying there, people having an affair, ex-convicts, ex-cons, people doing drug dealers, and poor to college kids or high school kids partying. I mean, that's really what you think when you drive by a motel these days. Would you think that's fair?
Yeah. I once stayed at a motel in high school where they were selling airsoft guns below the check-in desk.
What guns?
Airsoft guns.
Oh, okay.
This is a terrifying place. Surely we can do better, Coach. Surely we can do better.
And he's like, you haven't seen what the Booster Club has kicked in. I mean, I guess is what he would say. So Andy then starts grilling him, and Barney puts the paper back up and tries to ignore him, and Andy starts laughing. Later, Opie is walking down the road and finds a man's purse with $50, and he runs to the jail to tell Andy and Barney. I remember seeing this in syndication, when I was younger. I think I remember the episode starting with this scene, which is kind of a travesty.
Interesting.
I mean, that was kind of how they chopped it up during syndication. And Andy and Barney, of course, are amazed.
You've explained this to me before, but they do that for room for
commercials.
Advertising?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so not to get too technical on this, but when the show was aired, the FCC had specific requirements of it. There was a limit to how much advertising, how many minutes could be devoted to advertising. So you had to come in at a certain mark. So these episodes usually clock in at around 25 minutes. And then in the 80s, the FCC changed the regulations and gave stations more leeway about how much ad space they could sell. I'm assuming that's why you started seeing these episodes get chopped up. So they're obviously amazed at how much he has found, and the purse has no ID. And Andy explains to Opie that they need to hang on to it and give the person time to figure out it's missing and try to find out and come get their money. I mean, I'm saying his money because it's a man's purse. And so what they say is they hang on to lost money for 7 days, and if the person doesn't show it,
enough time.
In that day and age, probably not. I mean, it's like, you nowadays you could just post it on Facebook, or you could do something, or they could put it up. But yeah,
we don't have the moral structure of a society well enough to finders keeper prevails now immediately. Cash with no identification, that money is yours straight up.
I mean, I wouldn't take it. I mean, given that I've lived in cities, it's not like most of my adult life, I would not have taken it to a precinct, one of the Washington, D.C. police precincts, and said, hey, I found $50. What should I do with it? I mean, I wouldn't do that. And I don't know. I mean, I do think, yes, that is, if there is a situation where everybody does different things, but I suppose if I came across just money lying on the ground, I wouldn't even know how to find the person who lost it.
If you ever do, you can call me and I'll talk you into keeping it.
So I'll text you and you can give me the moral support. You're not going to need that from me, though, are you?
No. I have my own ethics I abide by.
And what that ethics is, if I find it, it's mine.
It's mine. If it's within arm's reach, it's mine.
I eat this. It's mine now. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. They have until Wednesday, next Wednesday at 3:00, and Opie takes off and is very excited, which as he should be. So Barney shares that he found $1 once and spent all of it on a girl, and then Andy goes, "Who'd you spend it on, Phoebe?" And I mean that's just like so well timed. And Barney puts the paper back up.
Yeah, I agree.
And then later one evening at the Taylor household, Barney shows up and Opie is showing him some catalogs that he has been looking at. And they're looking at erector sets, and Andy's telling them about a complex one he built.
What is a erector set?
An erector set, it was kind of like a metallic version of Lincoln Logs, where you could build bridges and you could build complex things and you could do so many different things with it. You could basically build structures and build things your own way. I guess it probably went the way of all things when toys became more sophisticated and you had video games now where you could build your own cities and your own civilizations.
Got it. Okay.
But both Barney and Opie are listening and looking at the catalog like a couple of kids. I mean, like Barney is just as excited about this money as Opie is.
Which is part of why this is so cute and joyful. Yeah. Right? Is that it's a big deal for all of them.
Yeah. We then have a montage of Opie walking through town and looking at all the things he can buy. And finally, we get to Tuesday night, and Opie is staying up past his bedtime thinking about all the things he could buy. I mean, I would have been doing this if I'd found that kind of money when I was a kid.
Absolutely. Did your parents, when I remember I bought a signed baseball, I was really excited and I needed it because they knew they had an obsessive child. And then I had to sleep on it. And then if I still wanted it, we would go back to the mall the next day and then we would do it. Like, did your parents have things like that they kind of help cool you down?
I mean, most of the time it was just allowance. And so a lot of the time I would save up and with my allowance but I knew what I wanted to buy. Like I remember I had to save for an entire month of $250 allowance a week to go buy Def Leppard Hysteria. And I was so excited once I did. Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Whose signed baseball did you buy?
Harmon Killebrew. I think it's a good buy still to this day. I think that's
you still have it?
Buy. Yeah.
I didn't. Are you a huge baseball fan?
No, I mean, I like watching baseball. It was more of we were in Minneapolis for the first time. My dad grew up in Minneapolis, so I decided I was a big Twins fan. So I had a good year where I was a big Minnesota Vikings and Twins fan. And then I realized that I hate watching sports. And then about in 2016, when you came into my life, I decided that I wanted to become a basketball fan.
I remember that.
I thought about sports, and you remember what team I settled on?
Was it the LA Clippers?
Yeah, the Clip Show. So yeah, now I'm a Clippers fan.
Are you a hardcore Clippers fan?
No, but I have the app.
Yeah, we've never talked about the Clippers. Not since that first night I met you have we talked about the Clippers.
I have a hat and I have an app, and I tried to watch it like maybe 2 years ago, and I got so bored.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear
I do
that.
like baseball more than other things, but I think I'm a Nationals guy versus a Twins.
Well, that's good. So am I. I mean, Harmon Killebrew, I mean, that's a good. I mean, I think he's no longer with us. I mean, so they're not making any more signed baseballs. I mean, that was a good investment.
Yeah, I figured he'd die eventually.
That was your calculus as a kid, but well, you were told to sleep on it, and that was one of the things you were like, he's going to die one day, and this will make it worth more.
Yeah, back to my ethics and moral code.
I mean, you got ice water running through your veins. So next day, Opie is in the jail, looking at the clock, and with 10 seconds left, they count it down, and the money is now Opie's. And before Opie runs to the store, Andy explains to him about saving money, and he suggests spending 10 and saving 40.
Well, it's cute because he buys him a piggy bank.
Yeah, and he gets Opie to go along. Did you ever have a piggy bank?
No, I had my grandmother bought me a toilet that I'd put the coins in the toilet, and then I'd flush it, and it'd make a sound and go into the piggy bank.
Oh, okay, well, that's nice.
Yeah,
I had a Cubert penny bank.
What's it?
Cubert. Cubert was this video game. You just would have to Google it. He was like an orange character, and he would jump on different squares, and that was how you won. Was you moved him around.
Oh, okay.
It was like early video games. And then my brother one time had a full Coke bottle, like one of those this high Coke bottles where you could put change in. We once took a vacation on all of our change.
Oh, really? Did you guys you packed for the vacation and then you stopped by a Coinstar on the way out of town and then you got the little receipt?
Yeah, I was hoping you'd do the Seinfeld line where he goes, George has all this change and he goes, I once knew a guy who took a vacation on his pocket, on all of his saved up change. And Jerry goes, where'd he go, an arcade?
That would have been better.
That would have been better, yeah. All right, so Andy gives him the piggy bank. He puts $40 in it, and then Opie leaves. And Barney then picks up the paper, and he reads that Earl Pike bought his boy a new car for his birthday. His boy is 57 years old. And then Barney then reads an ad in the Lost and Found from a man saying he has lost $50. Wow. And we go to commercial.
Tragedy.
It is a tragedy. So this episode was produced by Pod Machines. They do great podcasts at a great rate. Go to podmachine.com to learn more and enter Loaded Goat at checkout for a 10% discount. After the break, Andy and Barney are bummed. I mean, obviously, but Andy says they have to return the money. And he says Opie is a good boy and he'll understand. And Barney is just an out-and-out wreck. I mean, Barney takes this worse than Opie did.
Well, I get that. Barney was just as excited. He wanted Andy to show him how to do the Rector set. There is some to that. He was getting all caught up in it.
Yeah.
For a moment, Barney wasn't the hot mess.
I would have to say, if $40 is $40 like that, and it is $40 in 1964, put that in a piggy bank. Put that in a savings account.
Yeah, like buy some of those war bonds or whatever.
Yeah, T-bills, yeah.
Buy AT&T.
Some stock, yeah. So Opie comes running in and is so excited and says it's like having another Christmas, and Barney has to leave the room.
Oh, I feel like Andy could have said here is like, I don't spend $500 on you for Christmas. You get one thing normally, and it sucks.
I don't know if he'd say that, but I am like, that's a heavy Taylor Christmas if Opie's getting that much. I mean, I feel like that's very modest. And so Andy can't bring himself to tell Opie, who says it sure ain't easy being rich. And Opie leaves and Barney comes out and Andy opens his book and says, ain't that one of the saddest books you've ever saw? And it turns out he's going to pay the man whose name is Parnell Rigsby, and Barney has to run off sobbing. But
it's really cute, though. Like, I rewatched that scene a touch.
Yeah.
Because was Barney trying to imply that Andy, should give him the money? Or was that already established?
I think it was when he whips out his bank book and he's like, I'm going to make this work. I think Barney knows. It's clear he knows what he's going to do.
Oh, I mistook that whole thing because he said, isn't this the saddest bank book you've ever seen? And I thought he was looking at Opie's that just had like $10.
No, he was looking at his own.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So later, Opie comes in the jail with his new fishing rod, but they're not there. And an older man comes in, and it's Parnell Rigsby, and he's a very nice man. And he tells him to tell Andy he stopped by to check about his lost $50. And Opie freezes.
I like his line. He's charming when he comes in. Do I look like a catfish to you, boy?
Yeah, he's funny, yeah. And Opie freezes as the man leaves. I don't think he's being dishonest here. I think he's just stunned.
Yeah, I agree.
So we go to the Rigsby household where Andy and Barney are about to leave, and Andy has returned the money. And Mr. Parnell Mr. Rigsby pulls up, and his wife tells him they found the money. And he's so happy to hear. And he mentions that he ran into a young man with a fishing rod. And Barney asks him if he mentioned the money. And he says he didn't, or he says he did. And Barney starts to say something, and Andy cuts him off, and they leave. And Andy's pretty mad.
He's boiled.
And he's just, he's assuming the worst. And when he gets home, he sees that Opie has broke open his piggy bank and thinks he's on a spending spree, probably trying to spend all the money before he has to give it back.
It's so not Opie, but I do love this idea. He's like smash and grab. It's like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, if there's anything we have learned now that we're in the 5th season of the Andy Griffith Show, it's that Opie's a good kid.
Yeah.
And cut to the sporting goods store where Andy sees Opie at the counter. He takes Opie away to the courthouse and tells him he's mad.
Well, it's also, Opie had said that he wanted earlier one of those football helmets like the college kids wear. And the guy's hand is on one of these football helmets.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of like he's almost he doesn't realize he's giving him the rod back just to get the money back. He thinks he's getting him, he just wants to buy something else.
Yep.
And so he takes Opie to the courthouse. He tells him he's mad because he didn't say anything to Mr. Rigsby and then went out to spend more money. And then Opie says he wasn't buying anything from the store and that he was getting his $10 back for the pole. And he gives Andy $50. And Andy is confused, and Opie explains that he knew it wasn't his, and he wouldn't be able to enjoy spending it knowing that.
Which Andy Taylor starts beaming. Never has there been a prouder father.
Yeah, and he says he did it again by not giving Opie the benefit of the doubt. If there is a common trope on the show that especially comes out during the color episodes, on these types of episodes, it's Andy not giving his son the benefit of the doubt and then kind of having to eat crow. But he then says, "You're really something," and they hug as we go to the commercial. In the epilogue, this is nice. Andy went out and said, "Okay," and he went and bought Opie a fishing rod, which I thought was nice. Yeah. And Andy basically tells Barney what a good boy Opie is. I mean, he's obviously very, very proud of him. And then Barney starts reading the paper, and they mention that Early Gilly and Virginia Beasley are engaged, which Andy already knows because he read it in the paper. And Andy says it'll never come off as soon as he learns about Virginia. And Barney asks where he learned it, and Andy says he learned it from Phoebe. And when Barney starts grilling him, Andy says he has to go out on patrol, so he closes, and Barney's yelling at him as he walks out the door.
Just needling him. Needle.
Needle. Phoebe. I mean, Thelma Lou is the most normal name of any woman Barney dates on the show. There's Hilda May.
Anyone on time, yeah.
There's Hilda May, there's Juanita, there's Phoebe, and then there's Thelma Lou.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Maybe that's why.
What'd you think?
I'd give this one a dime.
You give it 10?
Yeah.
I was thinking 10 too.
Oh, we got a double 10 again.
Got a double 10.
The pickle brigade.
Oh, we have a visitor.
I don't care about your cat.
You don't care about my cat? This is Lulu. She jumped on my desk, and I just thought if she's going to do this, you might as well get a chance to see her.
No, I feel so gifted.
Oh, thank you. Let's just say I like her a lot more than you do, and we'll leave it at that. So, any final thoughts?
No, good episode.
I agree. All right. Well, as always, Christopher, it's good seeing you.
And peace be with you as well, and also with you.
Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. And if you think about it, subscribe. Next week, we'll do Goodbye, Sheriff Taylor. But don't worry, Christopher. He's not leaving the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And until then, Christopher, why don't you tell me where you took Phoebe?
Oh, to the blue cloud.
The blue view.